Welcome to the show that takes up no more than 5 minutes of your time, but could help you gain massive real estate knowledge. It's 5 Minutes in Real Estate with best-selling author Shane Willis.
Hello, it's Shane Willis, Pensacola real estate expert, bringing you today's episode. Today we're going to talk about a part of the buying process that some people seem to think they can overlook. And I want to discuss it not only for first-time buyers, not only for buying your home, but also as an investor. I've got a joint venture project I'm working on now with a very seasoned investor. We came up with an arrangement to buy, rehab, and sell this property. Both of us are fairly seasoned and pretty much know what we're looking at when we go to look at a property. But the one thing we did not want to do on this one, and on a lot of them we don't, is skip the part where you do a home inspection. Now, for first-time home buyers, this is a must. I can't mandate that you do it, but like in the military, I would have some of my superiors look at me and go, listen, I'm not going to order you to accomplish this task, but I'm going to highly suggest that you accomplish this task, which is pretty much the best thing that I'm going to do when it comes to a home inspection. I'm going to highly suggest you get it. It's just a different set of eyes. It's somebody that comes in that you know, that you trust, that you know what you're getting into. And I don't care if the home is only 2 years old. If you listened a few weeks back, I told you a story about a property I helped a retired Master Chief buy a couple doors down from me, actually. The property was only 2 years old when he bought it, but we still did the home inspection. I told him, I said, let's just make sure. Sure enough, one of the main trusses had cracked. It was an easy fix, and it was still under a builder warranty. But the seller had no idea it was happening it had happened because they'd only owned the property 2 years. So they said, no, everything's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But getting that home inspection, it's kind of a built-in contingency with most Florida contracts. There are some that you just put 0 days and you just waive all rights to inspections. And not to say that there aren't times that that's necessary, but that's few and far between. So if you're getting a home inspection, New York Times actually came out with an article, which I'm going to put a link in the show notes. So if you're getting the tips and tricks, you're going to get a copy of this. And then HGTV, which we all know is the Bible. I say that sarcastically. But they do have some good stuff that comes out. And HGTV came out. These 5 things you want to look at when looking at a home inspector, kind of what to expect. And so I wanted to talk about those today. If you're going to consider using a home inspector, one, make sure they're qualified. Make sure you're qualified. Sometimes there are some home warranties that specify qualification of the home inspector before they'll cover the warranty, so just make sure they're qualified. This should be a no-brainer. And all my clients, I give them a list of people to do home inspections, and they know it's kind of a no-brainer, but there are people out there that call themselves home inspectors, and they don't have the qualifications to do it. And just because they are quote-unquote qualified doesn't mean that they've been doing it for a while. I actually can, by law, do a full appraisal, not just a broker price opinion. Because I am a real estate broker in Florida, I can do an appraisal. But in order for me to do the appraisal, I've got to follow the appraiser set guidelines. The appraiser set reports. And I'll be honest, I'm not up to date on those reports. I'm not up to date on those guidelines. So I would just rather not do it. Am I qualified? Does my broker's license allow me to do it? Yeah, sure does. Do I do it every day? No. All right, that's all I got for you today. As always, guess we had a little technical difficulty there. Let's see if we can get this thing continued on. So the next thing that I ask you to do is ask for some sample reports. If you have not seen a home inspection, some people will freak out about seeing a 30 or 40 page home inspection. That just They don't understand that a home inspector's job is to go through every outlet, run the dishwasher completely through, crawl up in the attic, crawl in the crawl space, check everything out. So if they spot one small thing, they're going to put it on a report. So the report can get very, very lengthy. That's actually them just doing their job. I get a very lengthy report. That means it's pretty detailed. There's going to be a lot of photos involved. So ask for a sample report so you can kind of get an idea of what you're looking for. Or looking at. Man, we're having all kinds of technical difficulties today. I apologize about that. Looking for or looking at. So you can gauge, you get a little prepped for it. So ask for a sample report. References, that kind of goes without saying. I have about 3 that I work with a lot that I trust. One of those is going into that joint venture project that me and my very experienced business partner are going to be going into. We're still sending a home inspector in there to kind of catch anything we don't see. That also helps us as we're preparing to rehab the property to get ready for the next buyer, because we know they're going to do a home inspection as well. Memberships. Look to see if they're involved in any memberships, any associations. There's a couple of state and national associations for home inspectors that raises the bar a little. This gives us a chance to not just have the minimum standards, but even higher standards. That also means that they're doing continuing education, continual training to keep up their membership in those. There's some benefits to them, just like I have some for my state memberships and some national associations that I belong to. I have to do training every year. I know one, I have to go to Dallas every 18 months and spend pretty much a week out there doing nothing but training to keep my membership up to date. So check out the membership. And finally, errors and omissions insurance. Let's face it, home inspectors, just like you and I, are human. Unless you're a dog listening to this podcast. If you're a dog listening to the podcast, you don't need errors and omissions insurance. But for the rest of us, errors are to be human. I think that's not quite the way it's said. To err is to be human. I think I'm trying to do poetry first thing in the morning. Yeah, we're not going to do that. Anyways, people make mistakes. But let's make sure that we have our errors and omissions insurance policy to help us with this. And that also shows you what they're responsible for after the inspection anyways. Getting a home inspector is going to stop a whole lot of surprises. That's also a big negotiating point. I don't want to withdraw this from a potential seller. If you haven't had your home inspected in the last year and you're fixing to sell the property, that may be a really good thing so you don't get caught by surprise on anything. It also helps your differentiation when you're differentiating from the house down the street and you already have a home inspection done, because that's one of the biggest worries most buyers have. So anyways, I'm going to put a link to the New York Times article so you can kind of see where that's going. I'm also going to put a link up to the HGTV recommendations so you can see where I got some of this from. So that is all I got for you today. As always, if you have not subscribed to get the tips, tricks, get the links to some of these articles that I'm showing you about, get over to 5minutesinrealestate.com. That's 5minutesinrealestate.com. Also, you can get to iTunes and Google Play, which is where we are currently being broadcast. Get over and like the podcast, subscribe to it, give me a thumbs up, give me a good comment. Finally, if you found any value in this or any other episode that we do, I don't ask for any payment for them. I do, on the other hand, ask that you share it on social media. Have a great Tuesday.